Okay, we are back for part 2 of why festivals are failing. Now, this is part 2. This is the reason why most festivals are failing, and that is economic. Economic is the biggest reason why festivals are failing in 2024 and 2023. As I've already pointed out in the previous videos, we've had over 36 die in the UK, either being postponed or just flat out cancelled. This year we're up to, I think it's about 28 at the time of this recording. It might have gone up a few in the time between I put this up and since I recorded it. The most recent one was We Are Festival was cancelled a month out due to too much rain, and I don't really understand that one, me personally. The only reason I can see is that the ground support on the grass wouldn't be able to support the ground support, which is 100 tons or whatever of festival staging, because of all the rain and it's just too muddy. There are solutions around that, so I don't understand why it was cancelled so far out. But anyway, back to what we're talking about, economic. Okay, so this is not a simple like this. It's this reason and this reason. Even in Australia, festivals like Groove of the Moon and Splendid La Grasse have been cancelled. These are massive festivals which have been around for years, and then there's quite a few other ones as well. I think the number's up to 8 for them. But Australia isn't really a massive festival market to begin with, because it's only 22 million people, sorry. It would be a very, very small country if 22,000 people only live there. But 22 million people live, or 23 million people live in Australia, and that's across the space of Europe. So it's not really a lot of people, and there's not as big as festival market as, say, the UK. So the first thing we need to talk about when we talk about economics of festivals is the first thing that's going to pop up to your mind, and it's going to be the cost of living. Now, cost of living is hitting everyone across the world, including the UK especially. And with the cost of living, it means people can't have the disposable income that they used to. If they live especially in big cities like London, for instance, which I can attest to, it is extremely expensive to live in London. Rents went up 25% in a year. When I was looking for a place very recently, it used to be £900, £800 for a room for a month. Now that's up to $1,000 and up to $1,100 and $1,200. And that's for an average room, flat share. When we talk about economics, it makes it extremely difficult for people who are under the age of 25 to really get festival tickets, because it's too expensive for them. And because a lot of people under the age of 25 aren't making 60, 70,000, 80,000 pounds a year. They're making somewhere upwards of £22,000 a year or £25,000 a year. They're at the start of their careers, they're at university, they're at the entry-level jobs. It means that they're not making as much as, say, someone who's in their 30s or someone who's in their 40s, which means they don't have as much to spend disposable income as other age brackets. And with that means that they don't have the money to spend on festivals, let alone going out. The next is customers, because of this, are not buying their tickets as early as they used to, which is putting more pressure on the festivals, because I've been in that position before where I'm trying to sell my event to someone or to a group of people, and it's very difficult to get people to buy early. I remember I had 50% of tickets sold for an event that I put on. It ended up selling out, but it sold out within 1 week of the event, and this was on sale for 3 months. Obviously it's not as big as a festival event I put on, but it was very stressful because I couldn't get people to just buy tickets. No one wanted to commit until the last minute, which is really, really frustrating, because there's no guarantee you're going to sell those tickets. You don't know, you can't forecast, you can't say to your production companies, oh, we need to get rid of this because we can't afford it, or whatever the case may be, or you can't scale either. So say you've got a festival that's going to have 25,000 people, and you look at your ticket sales 1 month out, and you're not even going to get 20,000, you can scale your festival back. You can not have as many toilets, you can bring back on your catering, you make your order for alcohol smaller. All these different things you can do in advance if you know how many people you have coming to your festival. But if you don't know how many you have coming, because your people are buying their tickets much later, makes the process of putting a festival on much more riskier and a lot more stressful and harder for promoters and for festival owners. The next one is our favorite political topic that everyone's going to have an opinion about, but most people are going to agree with me, is Brexit, and it sucks. It is not a great economic and political and social change that Britain has done. I wasn't even in the country at the time they made that decision, but I remember it being made and I looking at it and going, that was a stupid idea. And that has led to so many issues when it comes to the music touring world, which branches into the festival industry as well. It's just an absolute mess when it comes to organising events with anyone who's outside the UK, because you have to deal with carnets, you have to deal with visas, normal things that would usually be quite easy, but because of Brexit and the way that they've changed it and they haven't made rules in certain areas and they keep changing the rules in certain areas, even several years after Brexit has happened, it's a nightmare, and it's not really a reason why festivals are failing, but it's making it a lot harder for them to succeed. Brexit also means that anything economically that happens in the UK, if we're trying to import equipment or we're trying to get specialised people like lighting designers or artists or anything like that who have their own equipment. Don't forget, a lot of artists do bring their own equipment and bring their own guitars and things like that. They don't, sometimes they use backline, which is the word we use for people who hire drums and guitars and amps and stuff from locally, but you know, people still like to bring, artists still bring their own gear as well, and bringing them into the country and then bringing them back out of the country with carnets and stuff. Brexit's just been made it so much more harder. The next economic factor is due to something that's really, really sad, and it's still going on unfortunately, which is the Ukrainian-Russian war. And with the rise of energy prices. Now, energy prices pretty much affect everything globally. It doesn't matter if you are in manufacturing, whether you're in festivals, whether you're just working in a deli. It really doesn't matter what you do. If your energy prices are sufficiently hit for whatever global reason, you're going to end up having to pay more in your electric bills. And when it comes to manufacturing, for instance, there's a lot of energy that's required to build, manufacturing. So it means manufacturing costs go up. Manufacturing costs go up, these get passed on to consumers, and retail then have to pass them on to their customers. In the festival industry, this means that things are a lot more expensive. Materials are a lot more expensive. Pretty much everything becomes more expensive. I could do a whole economic video on this, but I'm not going to, because this is not what that video is about. This video is about, it's about economics, about festivals, and the Russian-Ukrainian war has really, really made things a lot harder for everyone, because Europe doesn't have access to cheap Russian gas, and the Nord pipeline is no longer in use. That was cancelled out a while ago. Because of that, the festival industry struggles more because costs go up. Specifically to the festival industry, costs that go up are production costs. Production costs have gone up because transport costs have gone up. To get equipment in, to buy equipment, everything like that, anything equipment related has gone up. Transport is a massive thing. Say, for instance, you want to bring in some furniture. Furniture is a big, bulky, sometimes, most of the time, it's quite heavy. So you have to bring in quite a few trucks to bring it in. Each truck, for a hire of one truck for one day, is a minimum of £1,200. You might be able to get a good deal on that, £1,000 or whatever, but usually your minimum is about £1,200 one way. So, and then you've got driver costs and things like that, and then you have to pay road tax and fuel. And depends on which company you use, but it's usually really, really expensive to transport anything in the country. So when you have multiple suppliers, you have multiple venues, you have production, for instance, if you've got a big festival, let's say Download, or you've got a big festival like Creamfields or whatever, which has 3, 4, 5 stages, each one full of equipment, full of gear. It has to bring all the staging, has to bring all of the audio, all the lighting, all the video, all the LEDs, LED panels, got literally everything. Everything you bring on site has to go on site, everything that goes on the site has to come off the site, including rubbish as well. All these factors start to mount up when transport costs go up, because energy prices have gone up, and because energy prices have gone up, everything else goes up. To wrap up, it's got to the point now where having a festival, unless you're a seasoned operator, you're running multiple festivals, you're a massive conglomerate company, which you guys know who they are, it makes it incredibly difficult for independent companies to create festivals. This was posted online. Festivals like Boomtown, for instance, only made £100,000 last year, yet spending £20 million on the festival. That's a massive risk. £20 million for £100,000 worth of profit. When you look at those figures, you got to think to yourself, is it really worth it? And that's really a sad point we have to sort of leave on, is that, a lot of people are asking themselves, is this festival worth the risk? As much as I love the music, I love the scene, I love the people, is it really worth the risk? Now, I was going to end the video there, but I didn't want to leave on such a negative note. But there are things that you can do. The first and foremost is that you can repost this video and showcase that the industry is really struggling to everyone. And to encourage people to basically buy their tickets early. Really helps the promoters out. The next thing you can do, if you're really passionate about this, is to write to your local MP, explaining to them the issues that the festival industry is having, and try and convince them to work with the festival industry and the live music industry to try and prevent festivals from going under. There's also a campaign right at the moment for lowering the VAT from 20% down to 5% to try and save festivals from going under. This 15% in VAT can hopefully promote people to buy more tickets because they don't have to pay VAT on their tickets. And finally, there's always awareness. You know, there's always, as I said before, this is not a self-promotion thing. I mean, me saying repost this video is a self-promotion thing. I get that, thank you, I get that. But if you do repost this video, it really does sort of spread the awareness that this industry is really struggling at the moment, like a lot of industries, but in particular this industry. And the last thing we want to do is throw away the opportunities that we once had, because I'm a millennial. You know, I had the opportunity to go to lots of festivals when I was younger, and I still do go to festivals, but we don't want to not give Gen Z and other new up-and-coming generations the opportunities to build relationships, build connections, and become part of a community of like-minded people who really enjoy either the music, the experience, or the type of people that are at that festival. Please, if you ever have the chance to buy tickets early, please buy tickets early. If you see a campaign saying, please, we need people to come to our event, support that event. And also what you can do, which actually does help the festival industry in a small way, is go to local events, go to local grassroots venues and listen to live music again, whether it be a DJ, whether it be a band, whether it be whatever it is. Go to live music venues and discover new artists so that those artists can be put on the bills for new festivals. I'm Bryn Jones, and thank you very much for tuning in.